What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. I got an email which it's kind of about drugs, but I perceive this as a very good question about drugs to make a video on what's the difference between dieting on anabolic steroids and off anabolic steroids. Well, here's the difference. Now, obviously you're taking a lot more calories if you are on some type of anabolic steroid, but it really doesn't change very much. Now, most people would assume, well, if you're taking anabolic steroids, then you can pretty much eat whatever you want and get lean. It's totally not true. If you've ever known a competitor who competes at even a local or high level or whatever, who takes gear, you're going to see them walking around with a cooler full of food. And that food is not going to be McDonald's. It's not going to be pizza. It's going to be the same foods. Chicken, brown rice, oatmeal. It's going to be the same exact bland, boring foods that the natural guy is going to have to do to get into shape. It doesn't change. For some reason, I think people think when you take drugs, it completely changes the game as far as how your body works. And what it really only does, and I can't state this fact enough because over and over I keep getting the same questions, is it just makes you a better you. It makes your body function better and more efficiently. That's it. So it doesn't suddenly allow you to take in 5,000 grams of carbohydrates a day and get lean. Now other things like that, the DNP that we talked about, the fat burner, now that can kind of change the way your body works. You can obviously eat, just by taking that thing, you get a 25% increase in metabolism by taking a capsule of DNP. And obviously if you get a 25% increase in metabolism, if you increase your calories 10%, you still have a 15% increase in metabolism. So obviously you can eat more. But there's a danger that comes with that because it's an unnatural way that your body burns calories. So you're not really, changing anything by taking the DNP. What you're doing is just basically making your body work harder, which is, if you know anything about bodybuilding and stuff, you want to work hard, but you want to work smart. You don't want to push your body too hard because what's going to happen is if you push it too far, it's going to want to go back in the other direction. So there's a lot of people that, on drugs or off drugs, they cut their calories too much. They lose muscle. Yes, you can absolutely lose muscle and lose it fast while you're taking anabolic steroids. Just because you're taking steroids does not mean that you don't lose muscle. Okay, will you lose it slower than somebody with that's natural? Yeah, the natural guy's going to lose it a lot faster. When I dieted as a natural bodybuilder, I noticed that I would come down at a lot slower pace. My body weight didn't drop as fast. So it would be a more of an even, kind of slow pace. And I used the Skindex calipers, which are the electronic battery-operated Skindex, which was calipers, and they would test on my body fat sites. And you could watch the body fat sites go down very slowly as the competition came along. And every week it would go down maybe like 0.25% or whatever it was. And when I started taking gear, those drops were like dropping whole points. It was, it was definitely different, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily because of the gear that it was dropping. So most people would say, well, you're on gear, it's working. No. What was happening was, now because I was taking gear, I was able to push myself harder in the gym. I was able to push the cardio harder, which in turn dropped the body fat faster and held the muscle. But it wasn't the drugs that did it. The drugs allowed me to push. I still had to have the catalyst to make the body fat come off by doing the cardio. It didn't just do it on its own. I had to get in there and bust my ass in the gym. I still had to make sure that I stimulated the muscle right to get the muscle to, it's not really going to grow while you're dieting down, but to maintain the muscle mass, because if you're not doing that, what happens is the muscle decides, well, we're getting weaker, we don't need to be as big and as strong, and the muscle starts to shrink, and that's how muscle loss happens. Just because you're on steroids doesn't mean the muscle loss is not going to happen. So you have two, I guess, different types of athletes, enhanced and not enhanced, but their bodies work the same exact way. So that's where I feel I have an advantage over a lot of guys that jumped on the gear really fast. Because for 5 or 6 years, I trained and dieted and competed not on gear. So I actually had to learn how the human body works. And some people will say, well, it was all bro science. It doesn't matter. I learned how my body worked, and I watched other people do it that were natural around me, that were all part of the ANBC up in New England, the American Natural Bodybuilding Conference. And I watched what they had to do. And I did see the guys that were taking steroids and growth hormone and stuff like that. And I watched what they had to do. And they were doing very similar stuff to us, but it was like the intensity was just up another level. They allowed themselves to be able to push harder and recover because they could, whereas we couldn't. So that's the big thing. Like, you know, don't think that just because someone is taking something and is enhanced, that they have it any easier than you do, or anything has to change, and they get to sit around and eat Pixie Sticks and McDonald's all day long while you have to suck on a dry chicken breast and brown rice. They're doing the same thing, going through the same thing that you are, feeling the same way to get on the same stage and compete in their federation that you are. So this is where I get a little mad, because I feel like if you're a competitive bodybuilder and you make it to the stage and you're on the stage, you are now part of a fraternity that you'll be part of for the rest of your life. Enhanced or not, you did it. You got to the stage. You beat all the odds and you got to the stage. So why, if we're doing the same things and the same diets and the same training and all that stuff and busting our asses, are we arguing about who's natural and who's not? Okay, I kind of went off on a tangent here a little bit because this is a video about dieting on gear. So I hope that, you know, explains to you guys a little bit about the difference between competing enhanced or dieting enhanced and dieting not enhanced. It's pretty much the same thing, and you're still going to have to kill yourself in the gym to get the results. BiohistryTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, www.biohistrytraining.com, and we're out.